Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.
We're joined now by Tomika Vukovic, a Democrat from Glendale who's running to represent the 11th Assembly District. Thank you for joining us, Tomika.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to check with you before we get into some of the other questions. I followed you on Twitter, and I noticed that you had posted about that one of your campaign pledges would be to help bring family-supporting jobs to Milwaukee's North Side. What type of jobs would you like to bring to the North Side? Are there certain industries or businesses you're really hoping to work with?
Actually, it's an all-encompassing kind of thing. If we open up new businesses, like small businesses, like restaurants, different things, that's one type of job. I actually am looking at different areas for manufacturing as well. I'm an alderwoman in the city of Glendale, and I have an area that would be perfect for a manufacturing headquarters. So I'm not necessarily looking at one particular thing. There is a huge district out there, and I'm open to anything that will bring, family sustaining jobs and opportunities here in the district.
All right. Well, one of the issues that's come up is tax collections, and Governor Evers has warned that they may fall this year, possibly by as much as $2 billion. To address that shortfall, would you focus on cutting spending or raising taxes and fees? How would you want to offset the loss we could be looking at?
I think it's not that simple as one or the other. Can we look at things that can be put off a little bit to reallocate funds? We're all in a kind of a crunch time. I am uniquely qualified in this particular area in the sense of the city and the school board. I'm a alderwoman in the city of Glendale, as well as the Glendale River Hill School Board. These budgets will be affected by what they decide to do in the state. I think right now, like our school board has 3 separate budgets. One, that if everything stays the same, this is what it's going to be. If we get the allocated funds that we're supposed to, that's one way. Cutting down completely on anything that is discretionary, I guess, is one of the things that we need to look at. So when you're looking at the state budget, I think number one, what is necessary? First of all, let's take care of our people. Let's take care of the necessary things, making sure that our schools are funded, make sure, that there is proper monies for medical or mental health or any of those things, and then go look at the things we really don't necessarily need to deal with at this time, but can be pushed off. So it's not necessarily raising taxes all of a sudden or doing more. It's where are those funds at? Where are they allocated? Can something be pushed off? But making sure that we take care of the citizens or the residents of Wisconsin first, their health, their livelihood, doing those things, their educational needs. Those are the things that I will prioritize originally and then look at other options. But I don't think it's a either or. And and this is from the knowledge that I have from being an alderman, from being on the school board. These are the things we look at. I hope the state will look at it the same way.
Another big issue facing the Capitol is who gets to draw the next set of district lines. Governor Evers has launched his People's Maps Commission and wants to have a nonpartisan commission. Obviously, the Republicans who control the legislature want to have the power to draw those districts. Who do you think should be drawing district boundaries?
regardless who draws them, it has to be fair. I don't know if we hire lawyers to do it. I don't know if we hire, we have just individual people do it, or hell, I wouldn't care if the Republicans did it, as long as they did it fairly. That is the key. It can't be arbitrarily, moving. I'm looking at my district right now in District 11. It should be done by, streets, straight down the street, but we literally have a complex in Glendale that is predominantly people of color, but they have been lined out to be clumped into the Milwaukee district rather than the district that it should be straight line down, Mill Road. I think that is the key. I don't care who does it, as long as it's fair. And I'm just being real. I mean, we're making, this is smart decisions. I may be redistricted out. I'm on the border of Glendale. I'm in Glendale. Who knows? But at least it's fair. At least it's honest. At least we will hear the people speak, and not just a few people who decide where the line should go. It should be arbitrary.
In terms of, there's been a lot of debate about legalizing marijuana. Obviously, there's been a lot of interest in it in places like Illinois. Do you support legalizing medical and/or recreational marijuana in Wisconsin?
Both.
Both.
I think I am number one, there shouldn't be an option about legalizing medical marijuana. This has helped many people. It stops their suffering. It helps them with so many different issues. So I don't even know why this is a issue, or even something that I should pledge or not pledge. When it comes to legalizing recreational marijuana, let's get real. It's already out there. Let's regulate. Let's have funding go to dedicated reasons. Some of the states that have done it, look at their budgets. Look what they have been able to do for the residents. I'm personally not a smoker, but I've never, I don't see why we keep pushing against something that will be beneficial to the state, as well as the state. Many of the counties did a referendum. They completely support it. Why do we keep not listening to the people? I am going to be a representative, or hopefully a representative of the 11th district. Whether I agree or disagree with some things that are going on, I have to listen to the people. And then if there's a tie in it, then what they're telling me when they vote for me, their judgment. You may know something that I don't know, but we have to start listening to the people that we are representing. Yes, as a collective, the state, the representatives represent the state, but as an individual rep, I have to do what's best for my district. And I think we forget this. I think even the people that are in leadership, they forget that even though they're in leadership, the people that put them in the office put them there to be leaders of their district. And then you go statewide next. So the people in Milwaukee County overwhelmingly voted that they wanted to legalize it. I'm going to support that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the legislature should do to address the racial inequalities and disparities that have long been a problem in the state?
First, acknowledge it. We do so much talking about what we should do and what we should not do. And I'm going to be frank, with all these focus groups and let's study the issue. You know what? Racism have been studied for hundreds of years. There has been, over the last couple of decades, there have been studies showing the diverse effects of racism. But every time these studies give us hope that something's going to be done, but when they come to the conclusions, have you ever seen any real change? Then it waits a while till something blows back up, and then all of a sudden, let's do a study. Let's stop doing studies. Let's look at what the research shows already and implement some of the things that can be changed. We need to stop talking and put more action into it. There's ways that we can do it through legislation in the sense of making it easier and and have more opportunities for people of color and minorities to get contracts, to get these jobs. I'm sick of it's who you know. It should be qualifications. It should be, the state government should look like the population. Does it? And that's where I think if we stop pretending like we don't know that there's an issue, or saying, well, I want to study this so I can find out what the issue is. No, we know there's an issue. We already see it. Let's stop pretending and let's get to work solving the issue, not having another committee.
You probably hear about this next topic a lot, property taxes. I'm guessing as a school board member, as an alder, you're pretty familiar with this. So Wisconsin has some of the highest property taxes in the country, which is why what school districts and local governments can levy in property taxes is capped. They can pass referendums to exceed those caps. But if you're elected to the legislature, would you vote do you think those property tax caps should stay in place where it still has to go to referendum, or do you think they should be eliminated?
Full disclosure, I am on the League of the City of Municipalities. I'm on their board. And this is one of the issues that we have been talking about. I don't believe there should be a cap, because with the cap comes other requirements. So City of Glendale, say for instance, didn't need as much money this year as previous year. If they bring that down, all of a sudden it goes against their expenditures, and then all of a sudden they can't really just give relief when they need to. I think the way to do this is let local government decide what they need and don't need, and the local government and the people that are voting for their local electeds, those are the ones decide, wait a minute, you raised my property taxes too high. I don't like it. I'm voting you out. Let them decide. Sometimes a city might need a little bit more money, and the people that are in the city are willing to do it, but because they know what the need is, but they can't do it. We have to go through referendum, and that is a tough decision. Actually, like a place like Glendale, next year, if I'm just saying we're not, please don't do it, but say we wanted to do a referendum, don't you have a number? You know, where is the November election at? You know, or why can't the state do what the state has to do, which is policy and budget? That is what job is, to bring policy that affects the whole state, and budget, which control where the money is in the state. Give them the money, and then let the local governments decide how it is allocated. Excuse me. And those are the people, the closer you get down to the people, that is where the impact is. So with property taxes, 70, back when this whole system started, 70% was by businesses or manufacturing. Now 70% is from homeowners. Why is that? Why is the burden on that, on the homeowners? I think there's some ways that we can allocate different funds. I think a higher sales tax can help. That means everybody that is contributing, not just homeowners, not just manufacturing, everybody. And we have so many people that come into our state for business, for pleasure, for leisure, for vacations. Let them add to our economy. So I believe the formulas and what is being done in regards to property taxes has not been fair. I am working on some some information that I have asked the DOR to give me in regarding property taxes, and is it fair or equitable when it comes to rich versus poor? I've asked for those questions, and I will be getting those. But regardless of that, we need to find different ways to fund. It can't just be property taxes. It has to be a bigger thing.
Well, you're a mind reader, because my next question is actually about that issue. So counties and municipalities obviously rely on the property tax to fund a huge percentage of the costs and services they provide. And you started to answer this one, or you did already, but do you think it's time to consider alternative sources of revenues for local governments? For example, to levy a half-cent local sales tax. Milwaukee's obviously been pushing to do a local sales tax. Do you think local governments should have more power to pursue those alternative sources of revenues?
Absolutely. And again, I'm on local government, board. I understand what this means. The state I believe the state a little bit when it tries to, especially when it comes to Milwaukee County, they have a bias. They think that we're the succubus of the state, that we take so much money out, but they never actually see how much money the Milwaukee County actually puts into the state budget. We don't get as much as we put in. Allocating or allowing Milwaukee County and the local governments to do what they need to do, that will take pressure off the state. I mean, and then it goes back to local. I am 100% in favor of local control. A lot of times people say, oh, it's local. They want to do local control when it benefits them. But actually, it should be local control regardless. I have the tale, and I say this all the time, I have the tale of two school districts where I have a rather wealthy school district in the Glendale River Hill School District, as well as the Nicolay School District, who have resources because of property taxes, not because of redlining, not because of any of these things. All this goes back into poverty, racism, and discrimination. But then there's Milwaukee County, or the Milwaukee Public School System, who desperately needs the money. I think they have ways that they can adjust their budgets or do things, but they need the money. But yet, because of redlining, because of things, they had to go through hoops just to make sure they have enough operating costs or operating monies. So I keep going back to this is the reason why I'm running, is because I understand not everything, but I understand local government. I understand the impact that the state has on local government. I don't think we are opening the people at the state level are opening their mouths enough to protect the local governments. So definitely believe that we should have different funds or different source of funding our government that will impact everybody or help everybody, not put the burden on one particular person or another.
The one area that's been hit by the pandemic is healthcare providers. Obviously, hospitals have been very busy, but they have paused elective surgeries for a while. Do you think that the legislature should make hospitals and healthcare a greater priority in the next budget?
Absolutely. And I mean, I have, and just on a personal note, one of my dearest friends passed away recently. It wasn't because of COVID. It was because she couldn't get her scans for her cancer. They found the polyps right away, and all of a sudden the hospitals were closed down. She couldn't go get the other scans, and it actually was an aggressive form of cancer that went directly in 2.5 months. She was gone.
I'm so sorry.
So this is why I do the things that I do, to fight for healthcare, to fight for healthcare workers. We should not have to deal with this, and that we're not making things a priority when it comes to making sure our healthcare workers are safe, making sure that we have the resources we need to make sure that our residents are safe. Everything goes back to me with the quality of life and making sure our residents have what they need to be comfortable, to live, to work. I think we're forgetting about that. So our healthcare workers, those are the people who are keeping us alive. Those are the people who day to day put their lives at risk to make sure that we are safe, to give us the information we need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. So I definitely think hospitals and community health centers should be a priority, making sure that people have the actual insurance that they need, expanding, our healthcare coverage. Those are all the things that we really need to do to make sure that our residents are safe.
Another quick coronavirus question is, do you think businesses, if a business follows all of the coronavirus practices and recommendations that are in place to try to stop the spread, do you think they should be immune from lawsuits if they're linked to an outbreak?
Yes. I know that's may get me in trouble one way or the other, but if you are doing everything you can, if you're making people wear masks, if you are taking every PPE precaution, I don't see why they should be held accountable. But if they're not, and I know places that are forcing their workers to come in or not taking responsibility when a worker does come in and they have tested positive, but they're not telling other people to test positive, or because they want to keep the business going, they're just letting the chips fall where they may, then they should be, there should be an avenue for them to receive compensation through the court system. But if there is a legitimate company who is trying to do everything they can to make sure that people are safe, their workers are safe, their customers are safe, I don't feel that is appropriate.
All right, we're almost out of time, but just one more quick question. Do you think that local governments authorizing special works projects should give preferences to Wisconsin-based companies when it comes to bidding?
Yes, absolutely. Because we're here to, we always say homegrown, made in the USA. Why can't we narrow that to homegrown Wisconsin? We're supporting our own. I think that should be it should be a preference point. And then obviously, depending on what happens or what the situation is, but I do believe it should be at least a preference point in the things that we do.
Okay.
Or the jobs or contracts that go out.
We are out of time, but thank you so much. I know you're busy and you got a primary coming up in less than a month, but thank you again for talking with us, and nice to see you again.
Have a good day. Thank you for having me.
Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.